Hey everybody, and welcome, as always, to today's News Tonight, the weeknight news show where we're joined by special guests and our lovely patrons to discuss the day's gaming news. I am joined, as always, by my wonderful friends and GVG co-founders, Steve Bowling and Derek Bittner, along with our best friend of GVG, recurring special guest, the always awesome Brandon Voice of God Miracle. Brandon, how's it going, man?
I am tired.
We all are, and this, of course, is episode 98 of TNT. We're just 2 away from 100, and this is our post-E3 2021 news wrap-up episode. There's actually more news than you would think, even though E3 only ended yesterday officially. There's a bit more news post-E3 than you would think for us to chat about today, so that should be a lot of fun. But yeah, I hear you, man, on the fatigue, the tiredness. I think we're all feeling the burn. How is everybody doing? Derek, Steve, how are you guys doing?
I think Derek probably has it worse off than I do at the moment, just in terms of fatigue, because Homeboy has been putting in work. I mean, he is hard at work on some analyses from all the cool stuff we saw at E3. I mean, I'm your typical usual amount of E3 tired. Just, the mix of E3 and then jumping back into real life after the coverage day is over. That is a 1-2 punch that I was not ready for. It is right.
You thought it'd be easier, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm home. I can get snacks whenever I want. I can eat a burger on stream. I was like, This is great. And then but then you forget, like, oh yeah, all of real life is still happening around all this, and then I have to catch up to that when I'm done. So it's like, kids need tending, chores need doing, stuff like that. So life. The nice thing about the death march of an in-person E3 is that when you're done covering for the day, you have zero other responsibilities. Right. And that is, I'll never take that for granted ever again.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because even though my feet hurt way less this time, because we haven't been on our feet for 12 hours a day, 4 days in a row, I'm still exhausted. I mean, my feet are fine, which is nice, but I'm still exhausted. And I just feel like normally I'm able to take a little time, as you said, Steve, a little time after E3 just to decompress a bit. And that hasn't felt like that this year, right back into regular life following E3.
Well, the thing is,
it's today. It's just, it's been,
the highs of E3 help balance out the lows. Like you're right though. Like you're in a constant state in E3 of physical pain. Like your feet hurt, your back hurts because you're on them all day, way more than normal. But then it's like, you see all your best friends and you go out and you party and you drink and you socialize and it revitalizes you to go get up and do it again the next day. But when you're at home, it's just like, oh, well, now I'm going to walk down to the kitchen and do normal human things.
Well, before we get too much further into the episode, we do, of course, have a sponsor for today's episode. And normally they're the sponsor of our Monday episodes, but we didn't do an episode of TNT on Monday because of E3. So today's episode is sponsored, of course, by The Game Orb. The Game Orb is a fledgling channel that has focused mostly on Nintendo content until recently. While they are still running Let's Plays of Nintendo games like Splatoon 2 and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, going forward, they're also covering games on the Xbox Series X like Portal Still Alive as part of a new daily upload schedule. So subscribe to The Game Orb. We have a link in the video description below, but we are also, as always, for those of you here live, posting links to both their channel and the channel of their friend, Galactic Reaper, in the YouTube chat. So they are at 300 subs with the power of the GV gang, the incredible GVG community. We have pushed them up to 300 subs, so let's get them to 350. If everybody in the chat sub, we can get them to 350, 400, beyond. We want to help the Game Orb take over the world. So please show them your incredible support and check out their content because it is great content. And thank you, as always, Game Orb, for supporting us here at GVG and sponsoring the show. So thank you very much. Before we get into the news, though, we do. I wanted to talk about, of course, Metroid Dread, specifically because there's been a little more released about Metroid Dread since its incredibly surprising, shocking announcement. And that is that the Nintendo on the official Metroid Dread website has released the Metroid Dread Report Volume 1, a closer look at the reveal trailer. And I took some time last night to read through this and just kind of get a little additional supplementary information on the game. Have any of you been able to take a look at this?
I honestly have not because
I didn't even know about this.
Doing nothing but Zelda analysis and
which totally makes sense.
Stuff. All I know is I keep seeing Metroid information keep piling up for that eventual analysis, because that is next on the docket. But it was like, okay, well, it has those treehouse segments. We'll do Zelda first because there's no more information coming out of that. One other thing, real quick, before we get into this too much, Black Ninja did give a $2 donation.
Yes, I was going to cover that.
Hey guys, let's get it. So
let's get it. And also, actually, on that note, perfect timing, Derek. We also just got a $10 Canadian super chat for Mega Karibo. Hi all, first time watching live. Love your content. While it didn't appeal to me, I recognize Nintendo had a great direct. A little sad we didn't get Pokemon news, but Mario Party looks promising. Yeah, hey, not every direct is going to be for everybody, of course, but I love that you are able to take a step back and be like, hey, maybe not for me, but it was still a strong direct, in general. So I think it's important to be able to take that space and look at those kinds of things objectively. So thank you so much for the donation, Mega Karibo. And at the moment, I am posting links to the Game Orb and Galactic Reaper in the chat because, so
one thing I was going to mention earlier was my post-E3 Metroid energy has been directed toward just trying to find a pre-order for the damn collector's edition.
The collector's edition is whatever. I mean, it'd be cool, but I want the amiibo, and that's just gone.
Yeah, the amiibo is a big one for me too. I heard that Nintendo revealed from you, Narukami, in our patron chat, that Nintendo revealed what they do in the game, but I have not seen that yet.
They did. So that's actually part of the Dread Report, amazingly, which is why it's kind of interesting to be able to talk about it. But the Samus amiibo confers an extra energy tank that I don't know if you can get the energy tank anywhere else in the game, but you get an extra energy tank for an extra 99 units of life, of course. And then you can scan it once per day after that to just get I think some life refill, like either a full life refill or just a life pickup or something. Cool. And then the Emmy amiibo is basically the same thing except for a missile tank. The first time you scan it, you get a missile upgrade, or missile capacity upgrade, and then after that, once per day, you can get missile refills. So pretty standard stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm reading through this whole Metroid thing, and they have a bit of a prologue, like as was with Samus giving a little bit of a narration, and that's the part that I just read through this, like, you know what, that is something else, because everybody sort of expected, like, all right, it's Samus versus the Federation after Fusion because of this kind of showdown that they have with their research on the Metroids. It's like, all right, she must be on the run or something. Like, no, she seems to still have a kind of a cool relationship from them, because this reports that the Galactic Federation received video footage from an unknown source indicating that the X were still alive. They were not completely wiped out. And so they dispatched a special unit consisting of 7 Emmy robots to a new planet known as ZDR. But after arriving, the whole unit mysteriously vanished. And so the only one that can actually go and take care of this is Samus, because she's the only one immune to the X. And it's like, okay, that's a cool setup, and explains the Emmy pretty well. I'm also a little like, well, she got cozy with the Federation again pretty quickly. That was surprising.
That the context of their relationship at this point in the timeline is an interesting one, and I'm wondering if we're going to find out that ultimately in Metroid Dread that the Federation is trying to screw her over again in some way. It wouldn't surprise me. Or is trying to weaponize the X parasites in some way, but it seems as though they haven't been completely wiped out, and that's exactly like what you just said, Derek. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about this at least briefly at the top of the show, because there's not really been any news about Metroid Dread since the announcement, but all this supplementary information did come out in this report, and I know how excited we all are about this. And something right below this kind of intro from Samus herself, a transmission from the dev team. And they go into about the whole end of the story arc thing again, saying this entry marks the end of the story arc, focusing on the strange, interconnected fates of Samus Aran and the Metroids, which began all the way back in the first Metroid game for the NES. For those who follow the series, you may have questions about the story of Dread. Does the X-Parasite truly exist on planet ZDR? Why are the Emmy hunting Samus? And, most importantly, how will the story of Samus, the Metroids, and their interconnected fates end? It's so weird to hear them talking about the end of Samus's story, or at least this is the story, right?
Is it really that weird? I mean,
there's still going to be more games because they're going to have those
Prime
running
4
like
and...
primes and all that. But it's also like, is she finally going to finish off all the Metroids at this point?
Right. I was going to say,
is the galaxy actually going to be at peace?
What do you call the series after that?
Still Metroid. And that's why named Samus Metroid. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm so fascinated by this, because it's not usually, you don't usually see publishers, so seemingly boldly proclaim the end of one of their major franchises. And I know it's not actually ending. We're getting Prime 4, things earlier in the timeline. I get that, of course. But it's just, they are, it seems like they're putting a stamp of finality on Samus's story at the end of the timeline. And it just makes me wonder, where are they going from here other than Prime 4?
I don't think they're putting a stamp on the end of Samus's story per se. I think they're putting a stamp on the end of her fucking with Metroids.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is still weird. Unless she crosses over to Kid Icarus and takes on what are they called over there? And takes on those.
Yeah.
She just really hates gelatinous monsters, no matter what they are.
If there is finality here, I hope that the game ends with some kind of hint as to what's next. If there's a next, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there will be something to do with the Chozo, or there is also that extra secret or the Easter egg ending in Metroid Prime Federation Force, but that's probably going to do more with
that's
Prime 4.
Probably Prime 4 than anything else.
So there is a stuff, as you said, Derek, with the Chozo and Samus Returns, and that could be maybe the next arc they explore. Maybe we won't see too much of that here in Dread. Who knows?
I'm not so sure about that one, but I'll say that for my eventual.
But you're certainly the. We're all big Metroid fans here, but you're the mega fan. So if you say that may not be the case, I believe you, man.
Prime is between 2 and Super, right? Or is it between 1 and 2? I forget.
Say this again? Prime?
Prime, yeah.
Between 1 and 2.
Oh, is it 1 and 2? Okay.
Yeah, cool. 1 and 2.
I wonder if Prime 4 will end up somewhere else in the timeline, because it doesn't necessarily have to still be in that segment.
Theoretically, if I had to guess, it definitely takes place after Federation Force.
Right.
And it never come out and said where Federation Force is. It just sort of assumed it's probably after Prime 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
If you want a full timeline type thing, like as far as chronology it goes, Metroid Prime, basically Prime series 1, 2, 3, Federation Force, and now 4, probably 4. Metroid 2, Samus, Super Metroid, Fusion, and now Dread. So
right. Well, there's way more to talk about in this Dread Report than we can cover here. So for those of you who are looking forward to the game, I recommend you check it out yourself and read through it. There's a lot of cool stuff. They say that in the next report, they're going to be talking about all the ways that the ME bring change to the world of Metroid. So look forward to that. And I just want to end this by saying, mentioning the end, the final transmission from the dev team, saying, we finally announced the Metroid Dread game, the idea for which we've been formulating for over 15 years. And I know we've talked about that in our E3 live reaction, but just the fact, I can't get over the fact that this is still the same concept that was, leaked slightly all those years ago, and now it's back.
Yeah,
that is my.
I mean, it has a reference in Metroid Prime 3.
Right? Yeah, it does. It's right.
Yeah, it does.
I forgot about that.
Project Dread is nearing final stages of completion.
God,
they removed that from the Wii ports, didn't they?
I'm not sure.
Not the Wii ports, but the.
I feel like I remember hearing that they did. You might be right.
They removed it from the trilogy. So if we do eventually get the trilogy on Switch, they could actually just put it back in.
I really could.
Sure.
Also,
so cool.
Casual Chris, I completely forgot about Other M. Just slot that in between Super Metroid and Fusion. So no worries there. Fortunately, the chronology of Metroid is not that confusing in the grand scheme compared to a lot of other series.
So I love how lore and story driven this franchise is, even though most of it's in the background.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's you say about the story, but you think about the story that happens in each individual game, and it's you got the beginning, you got the end, and that's pretty much it. Here's our setup. Yeah. Here's how she resolves it. Done. And Fusion is the only one that I think kind of solves that.
They do mention also in the report that even though this is the culmination of all the 2D games in the series, that this also works as a standalone story. Though of course they're going to say that anyway. That's just PR speak. So, I'm sure it's one of those things where it'll be a lot better if you've played all the games leading up to it, but it does seem like you play it without knowledge.
Didn't they mention that there was a Metroid, or that there was like a prologue that explained the events up to this point at the beginning of Dread?
There's a recap,
Yeah. So, on the last episode of Metroid.
And that's really all you'll need. Like, I still recommend playing the games because they're a hell of a lot of fun, but they're not necessary. Like, if you want to fully understand the story, you can easily catch up with just a Wikipedia page or this prologue.
Yeah, I actually I intend on playing through all the old, because they're not long games. Like, you could beat all of them in 20 hours.
I mean, the speedrunning scene was created based off the Metroid series, so there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, we should go ahead and get on to the news, but we do have 2 more super chats to read out before then. First, we have Tyler Hardy with a $1.99 donation saying, bought Rift Apart because of you guys and loving it. Well, thank you so much. And that's because of Derek, man. That was Derek's review. That is all on him. So thank you so much.
You guys all love it too. So
that's true. Yeah, we're all loving it. And then also $4.99 from Klaxon saying, funny, I just explained the Metroid chronology to Amy yesterday on her video reaction. She wanted to know which ones to play. I just recommended 1 through 4. And yeah, in terms of, I think that's a great recommendation in terms of understanding the story taking place in Dread, because the Prime games are kind of their own side story. Although you could play Other M as well if you want.
Well, she can't even play the Prime games just because of her motion sickness when it comes to
well, that makes sense.
Stuff.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the donations, everybody. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the news because there's a surprising bit of it to discuss. So let's get that first story up on screen. And this is something that I'm personally very excited about, happy about. But as you all know, in the Nintendo Direct, it was revealed that Fatal Frame Maiden of Black Water, a.k.a. Fatal Frame 5, is being ported to the Switch. However, it isn't just being ported to the Switch. It's also coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, and Steam, which is just fantastic. That's just a bigger audience for this great game, for this great series. If you like survival horror, I reviewed this game back on Wii U during the GX days, and I can't recommend it highly enough. So I just kind of wanted to make sure everybody knows who's watching this show that this great game is coming to all platforms and not just Switch. Has anyone else besides me played it?
I've not.
No.
I only played the Wii U demo, I think.
Same.
Okay. Gotcha.
Isn't this published by Nintendo?
It was.
That's the thing. Is it used to be, and I don't know.
I thought they were the rights holder.
I think this is like a Wonderful 101 type of situation where they got Nintendo to divest themselves of their stake in the game or something, or Nintendo just didn't see the value in republishing.
That's what I'm wondering.
This game. I mean, honestly, it being on more systems is better, though. I mean, it's a chance for people to experience it, and I mean, I do think the Switch is kind of the natural choice for this, but it's hard to argue with the game being available for more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we don't really know anything about the visual or performance differences, if there are any, between the various versions. It may be worth playing on PS5 and Xbox Series if they're really putting a lot of effort into differentiating the different ports visually. But if not, I mean, look, I played it on Wii U, and it looked great there. And it looked great there. It looked more than good enough for the kind of game it is there. And performance was strong. It was stable. So kind of like Steve said, regardless of where you choose to play it, it might fit on Switch in the portable format, maybe especially with the camera obscura. But you can't go wrong, regardless of where you choose to play this. And do play it. And we don't have a release date yet, though. Just 2021.
It might have some differences due to in the costumes, because there's bonus costumes.
Costumes.
There was Zero Suit Samus costume, and who else?
I forget the other one, but I
can't remember. Yeah,
there was another Nintendo costume. So obviously that'll probably stay in. Oh, was it Zelda? Okay, it was Zelda.
Okay. I did a video on it for GX, and I still don't remember. Yeah, Zero Suit Samus and Zelda.
So could have those, and obviously those exclusive to the Switch. But then there's also there was costumes that were considered a little too risque for Nintendo. They left in Japan, so they could pop those on the other platforms, because I'm sure they won't care. And maybe even give them their own. Like, I saw somebody in the live chat or patron chat saying, have her walk around like Master Chief armor or something like that, or have her dressed up as Aloy.
I love that idea.
That is fun.
Yeah, I think an Aloy costume would be cool. But yeah, of course, the Nintendo costumes aren't going to be in the other versions of the game.
I don't think the Nintendo costumes will be in the Switch version of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Not. Yeah, that could be the case.
I left it in the Bayonetta, so I mean, it depends on what they do for the.
Well, yeah, but didn't Nintendo publish Bayonetta 1 and 2 on Switch?
True.
Yeah, Nintendo is clearly not involved in the publishing of this version, so I wonder if they revoked Koei Tecmo's rights to use their character costumes. But who knows? I mean, I'd be happy if they did get platform-specific character costumes, but I also think this is going to be one of those releases where they're just trying to get it out the door onto other consoles to see if there's an extended audience for it, and they're not going to worry about paying whatever money they'd have to pay to license those costumes.
Man,
I want to see
these do well and we get remasters or at least a collection of the first 4 games.
I would love that. This series really does deserve more love, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to report on this, just to let everybody know if you have any interest in the kind of game this is, it's coming to everything. So play it, especially if you're a survival horror fan. It's great. If you love Japanese horror, you have to play this.
Real quick, I saw someone in our YouTube chat asking about the Hello Kitty behind me. It's actually just my wife's All Might Hello Kitty figure that I popped up for a stream yesterday and forgot to put it away. So there you go. No significance to what we're reporting on today.
To answer the question of you, Narukami, in our live audience patron chat, what's the protagonist in this game, the assist trophy in Smash? Yeah, her name's Yuri Kozukata, and she is the assist trophy in Smash Ultimate. And yeah, that's the connection there. So, and using the camera obscura, actually using it in that game is super fun, and you'll definitely get why the assist trophy works the way it does. But before we move on to the next news story, we do have a couple more super chats. We have $5 Canadian from Bongo Lover, as always, of course, saying Square Enix forgot to reveal Final Fantasy XVI collaborating with the Danimals brand. All the FF characters will drink Danimals yogurt. Square Enix, that one's free. I mean, I don't want to speak for Bongo Lover, but that idea is free, and I think it's a slam dunk. So you should be listening.
It worked with Cup Noodles. I think it could work here.
Yeah,
absolutely. If you can do it with Cup Noodles, you can do it with Danimals. It's way easier. It makes sense.
Do it with Danimals.
Thank you so much, Bongo Lover. And we also have a 17 Danish krone donation from Pika Link 91 saying, I yelled at my screen by the reveal of Project Zero, that, of course, being the Japanese name for Fatal Frame. And nice to hear from a fellow Fatal Frame fan that really that series deserves so much more love. And I'm glad, Pika Link 91, you know how great it is. And thank you so much for the donation. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to our second story, which is about another E3 game reveal. So, Guardians of the Galaxy. We might all be tired of hearing about it because it did take up like 25 minutes of Square Enix's incredibly disappointing E3 presentation. But as we found out in the E3 Direct, it is also coming to Switch. And at the time, I know we were all kind of surprised by how good the Switch version seemed to look. At least compared to platform parity with other platforms. And turns out there's a reason for that, and that is because it's cloud-based. So, yeah, I think, Steve, you mentioned something about this during our direct reaction, right, that you thought...
Yeah, I was saying that it looked far too good to be running on the Switch. Because, and it turns out I was right, it's running on probably a PC somewhere. I gotta say, I get that the cloud game thing works really well on the Switch in Japan, and I don't think it's a viable option here. I've tried multiple different cloud games, and I'm not saying I've tried Japanese cloud games because I totally understand that those will not work well here in the States because that is a long distance to travel to play a game remotely. But I've tried Control. I've tried a few other US-based cloud games, and they're just not a good fit. They don't work very well. They're laggy. There's often a queue to get into the game. You're buying game time instead of the game itself, which is probably the worst. Mm-hmm. Like, if you think Stadia's model of making you buy cloud games is bad, try paying a shitload of money to rent them. Like, what the hell? That is awful. Mm. Like, you go in and you're like, well, I think I can beat this game in 13 hours, so I'm going to buy that much. I mean, no.
No, thank you.
Like, I don't think that would have flown in the 90s, let alone today. Like, I just find the monetization models bad. I find that when you do play them, they don't work well to begin with. American internet, as I've said so many times on this show, is so scattershot in terms of quality that it's like, depending on where you are, you might just not have good enough. Like, my brother lives in Washington State. And when you hear that, you'd think, okay, not backwater, not a bad place to live, probably has decent internet. He can't play this shit at all. He can't even download updates. So, I mean, it's just America's internet infrastructure is so bad and so all over the place that cloud games out here are just a bad idea. In Japan, you can get internet that we would qualify as like best in class $300 a month stuff for like the equivalent of $20. So it just doesn't make sense to me. Cloud versions can just fuck off into space. Like I don't have any kind of things to say about this idea.
Into the clouds.
Fuck off into the cloud they came from. It is just it's if you're gonna play Guardians of the Galaxy, literally any other way, including Stadia, is a better way to do it than the Switch cloud version. It's not a bad game, doesn't look bad, just this is a really tone-deaf way to get it on the Switch.
And I
feels like an afterthought.
Kind of. I guess they just kind of want to maximize the audience in the lowest effort way possible, I guess. And of course, on top of that, related, there is no physical version planned for the Switch. So if you do want to play Guardians of the Galaxy,
you're
probably going to want to play
it. Yeah, I'm a little upset they sold me a box as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, what kind of gut check is going to Best Buy, buying Guardians of the Galaxy on Switch and finding out it's like a game time code? Like you buy it and you still don't own it even. They're just your aunt bought you 3 hours of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
And then after your time's up, your game box just spontaneously combusts.
I suspect that the size of the audience who wants to play this game but only owns a Switch is probably relatively small. So hopefully the impact on this game's potential audience is, kept to a relative minimum.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a huge deal.
Yeah. But I would certainly much rather play this on PS5 or Xbox, just, in general.
I just, I get that it's a lot more work, but if you want to release a game on the Switch, just make it for the Switch. It's just not a viable concept here in the States to do cloud games on the Switch. It just isn't. I mean, even discounting, because I have great internet, and cloud games don't work well for me because the Switch puts these weird limitations on how much bandwidth it can use. So it's like your Switch operates at a quarter of your internet speed at home anyway, because Nintendo was like, the internet's a joke. Nobody wants fast internet.
Well, we do have
a
little bit
this
more.
Game performing well if they had just done like a low res port, because games like Doom and Doom Eternal are they're doing fairly well on Switch, despite maybe not thinking they would.
I wonder if maybe they have cold feet because of what happened with Avengers, and they just don't want to put too much, development energy, time, and money into a Switch version of this game because they were scared off by Avengers.
Yeah. And real quick, just to answer a question from Edward in our YouTube chat, cloud versions of games, to the best of my knowledge, do not require Nintendo Switch Online to play.
Right.
As long as you have Wi-Fi at home, they'll work. Because it doesn't use any of NSO's features. I mean, any of the 3 features NSO has.
Right. Related to, Guardians of the Galaxy, there's also been an interview with the Washington Post with the game's dev team, basically just kind of summing up the fact that this game's development process has been helped out by the fact that they're only having Star-Lord playable, and the fact that they are keeping it to a single-player, narrative-driven game where you can only play as Star-Lord has helped keep development on track throughout the pandemic and helps explain Eidos Montreal's confidence in the October 2021 release date, which I know I said during our reaction that it's a bummer considering the team dynamic of Guardians of the Galaxy and how cool each member is that you can't play as them. But at the same time, if they have their vision for the game set from the beginning, they know what they wanted to make, and it helped them keep things on track throughout the pandemic, I can also see the argument for making it, based on Star-Lord only, or at least based around playing.
It's an interesting concept, because you're not just Star-Lord, you're the commander of a team. And in the midst of combat, you have these call-outs, you have to make sure that, your members aren't getting upset with one another. Something you do might, like when they throw a rocket across that chasm and he gets mad. They do that Telltale style thing where it's like, oh, he's going to remember that. Mm-hmm. I think that's a unique approach to something like this. Yeah. I'm interested in seeing how it plays out.
Plus, if it does well, that's perfect. That's perfect for how you expand it for the next game. Hey, all of a sudden more characters are playable this time around. Boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the idea that they're keeping the focus of this game tight, because I feel like Avengers tried to do too many things all at once.
Right.
And as a result, it did none of them well. Whereas they've got, one playable character. And honestly, games don't have to all be Smash Ultimate. You can have one character and have it be a damn good game. Mario's proof of that. Zelda's proof of that. I just feel like they're doing the right thing by not getting over ambitious with this one. And just making sure that they do this one character really well and make the action feel good. And then, like you guys were saying, if this does well and a sequel comes out, that's when you expand the roster.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and I can definitely see, I can get why people might be disappointed as not getting to play as Drax, Gamora, and Groot, because these are obviously characters who are beloved and very cool in their own right, separate from Star-Lord. But I do think at the end of the day, making the game as good as it can be is what counts, of course, especially after what happened with Avengers. And as Steve said, it's kind of too large scattershot approach and trying to do too much, which made the whole thing implode. So yeah, they did take too long with it on the Square Enix presentation, and that kind of at the time left a sour note in my mouth. But I am looking forward to checking this out. I like the Guardians movies. I like the characters, and what we saw looked pretty good. Amazing, maybe not, but pretty good. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops. So, let's go ahead and get our next news story up on screen. And this was actually revealed in the Direct, or during the Direct, but something which is good to kind of reiterate for everybody. So let's go ahead and do that. And that is that Mario Golf Super Rush is going to be getting additional characters and courses via free post-launch updates, much like Animal Crossing, I guess. How that's
and
been
Mario
happening.
Tennis.
And Mario Tennis,
right.
Good point. Yeah. So, they're keeping that going with Mario Golf Super Rush, and these will be free updates. Not too much to talk about here, just a cool bit of news for those of you looking forward to it.
We can get our good boy Chain Chomp on the golf course.
Oh, yeah. This is typical Nintendo behavior, and I mean that in the best possible way this time around. Like, this is what they've been doing. I love the fact that Nintendo is taking these titles and supporting them with free DLC. I mean, because I don't want to buy more characters for golf. I don't want to buy more tennis characters. I'll buy more Smash characters, but or I'll pay for AAA DLC. Like Breath of the Wild, had no problem buying the expansion pass for that. Pokemon, I'm fine with that too. But these smaller franchises of theirs, I like that here's a free update. Hey, here's some more characters. It keeps you coming back to a game that you probably would otherwise put down quite a bit sooner. And I think it's smart.
Right.
And it seems like the starting level of content here is going to be a little bit more robust than what we got with Mario Tennis Aces, which I think is what kind of hurt that game in the long run. Mm-hmm. So I'm more optimistic with this approach with Mario Golf.
Yeah, Mario Golf looks incredible so far.
Right off the bat, having New Donk City as an extra level, like that's cool.
That's so great.
That immediately makes you want to play it more.
It's just like, it's funny how much I don't really care about Mario Golf, but I'm so consistently interested in what I'm seeing from this one specifically. Like I played the original with my dad and had a great time, but beyond that, I played that with him because he loves actual golf and I love video games, and we were able to meet halfway on that. But otherwise, I really wouldn't play much Mario Golf. But as I've said, Speed Golf, and now the what they showed in the Treehouse Live yesterday of story mode and the boss fights. You get to fight a Moltres-looking monster, like a giant flaming bird monster with golf balls. That's awesome. What? It's so weird and so very Mario Golf-esque. And I think it's that side, that arcadey side of the game, that is going to really pull me in here.
I will say I like Turtle Anton's idea in the YouTube chat. Mario Party is the one who needs free DLC. Now, wouldn't that be amazing if they added more classic
boards? Oh man,
that stuff I would pay for.
I will say I went right out and pre-ordered Mario Party the day it got announced. Yeah, Mario Party Superstars. I can't remember the name to save my life, but I definitely put my money down for it already. I also pre-ordered WarioWare, of course.
Heck yeah.
And I pre-ordered Kakarot for my son because he called it out. So
I'm rewarded for that prediction.
But yeah, I would like to see that happen with Mario Party Superstars because, as Nico Bra in our live audience chat mentions, it needs more boards. I mean, the game's not even out yet, and I already feel like 5 boards just isn't enough. And I think that's how many Super Mario Party had. And
it was 4.
Mario Party had 4, but they're also very small. So the fact that these are recreations make them a little bit bigger and make them have a little bit more
And the 64 entries I think they all had 5 each. Not to say that doesn't feel small.
Right.
Yeah, I think I was going to look that up because I'm pretty sure that they didn't have that many boards either. So,
yes.
Right. And as 112 points out, why not have 6 boards, 2 from each game? I mean, yeah, considering the fact that the boards are specifically pulled from Mario Party 1, 2, and 3, it does seem like a bit odd that they're not just pulling 2 from each game. But either way, this is still the most excited I've been about a Mario Party game in, God, I don't know how long, in years and years and years.
My biggest request for Mario Party Superstars is that they add in the costumes from Mario Party 2 as an update, because they're not in there, and I'm so sad about it.
I mean, there's so many costumes from their other sports games, but just make those costumes at points too.
Yeah,
we were talking about that during the Treehouse reaction, Brandon, about how as much as we loved what they're pulling together for this game, it does feel a bit streamlined, like they're stripping some of that personality from each individual game out in order to make it work in a collection context. And I get why, but I agree. I want to see those costumes. I completely agree with you.
Nice.
Since you guys did watch that, did you notice if the I have not had a chance to check that segment out on Treehouse. One, is it 20 coins for a star, or are they keeping it more like Super Mario Party?
It was 20 coins.
It's 20.
Okay, so they're not shrinking the stages either. Cool. It is just legit based off that.
The game format went right back to classic Mario Party, though I think
no cars, no riding together in cars or any shit like that. It's just straight up Mario Party.
I believe, though, that first, second, and third place get coins for mini games, which I think is actually better than just one person getting money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. No, me too. I'm looking forward to it. Well, before we move on to the next news story, we do have a $5 super chat from Grantles saying, we need a Mario American football game, and it's sponsored by the NFL. That would be wild. I don't even know what that would look like.
Mario gets a concussion. They deny treatment. He's still forced to play. Oh, sorry. Well, just injecting a little NFL into Mario.
Right.
Real quick, just as a nice little aside, because this is a nice quality of life improvement. Luxcar pointed out that, and it's been made a point of on Twitter, that the mushroom game from classic N64 is helping for colorblind.
We saw that.
With the patterns.
There are textures and patterns. Yeah,
I love
really
that.
Cool.
Such a subtle accessibility feature too.
Mm-hmm. There's also one other accessibility feature that we should mention, and that's that online games with your friends can be stopped, saved, and played later.
Yeah,
which is so forward thinking for a game like this.
Yeah,
and button controls for all games, as Dit Arms' 4th birthday today points out in the live audience chat. Button controls for all games. I have to point
this out. Did you guys know Dit Arms, or Ditto M as he's known, runs the gaming stuff that aged well Twitter?
No,
I didn't know that.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't either.
Wow.
Until that account, he's like, gonna promote myself here, and retweeted his personal account. I was like, he's been here all along.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I had no idea.
He's researching our W's.
Well, Ditto, thank you for sharing and posting that clip of me perfectly predicting the Switch reveal trailer, because I had completely forgotten about that, and that was a really nice thing to be reminded of that I got right.
Yeah, I saw that. He also got me for one with when I called Byleth, which I was like, I didn't even remember I did that.
Oh, nice.
I was like, we're getting Fire Emblem, but Nintendo's disappointing, so it'll be Byleth.
Well, you were right. So
there's a formula, people. Real quick, I did want to call out that our good friend Lady Pelvic is in the chat tonight too on the YouTube side, and she had said WarioWare hype, and heck yeah. I am looking forward to both Mario Party and WarioWare multiplayer streams as soon as those games come out, because that will be a damn fun time. So look forward to those on the channel whenever we get our hands on those games, like in months from now. But
Switch really needed
Clearly
these.
The hype police are coming for either me
Yeah, exactly.
or us.
You got too hyped, Steve. So
yeah.
We're gonna bust your door down.
Good lord. Yeah.
Hype police, you're too excited. We're gonna tase you now.
I think there was too much of an absence of this kind of experience on Switch, so I'm glad that we're getting a 1-2 punch with Mario Party and WarioWare.
And not a 1-2 switch.
I'm so excited.
Thank God.
I really I have been missing. I don't think I realized how much I missed WarioWare and had missed WarioWare until I saw that trailer for Get It Together, and I'm like, man, I'm really, really excited about this.
Oh,
and
Wow. Real quick, because it's relevant to what we're talking about. Renan Alves with a Brazilian Real or 10 Brazilian Real donation says Mario Party Superstars is the first Nintendo first-party game that has Brazilian Portuguese as a language option. Now the community is using the hashtag Nintendo Brazil to ask for more games with
awesome.
Brazilian
That's really
Portuguese.
cool.
That is awesome.
That's fantastic.
So happy for you. Like that is
especially because
great.
they weren't even Brazil wasn't even getting Nintendo products for a while, so getting that even more love, that's awesome.
Right.
That is really, really cool.
That makes me really happy just to hear that. Thank you for letting us know about that. And I will definitely tweet in support of that. And more people can play games in their native language, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I think that's really cool. So thank you for sharing that information, Renan Alves. That's really great. And I hope that hashtag leads to more Nintendo games being published with Portuguese Brazilian as well. So that's really cool. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next news story, for which I think the phrase "we tech those" takes on a whole new meaning now. So, of course, the big smash reveal for the Nintendo Direct was Tekken's Kazuya Mishima joining the roster as the fifth fighter in the Fighters Pass Volume 2. And we now know that the presentation, Sakurai's presentation on Kazuya, is going to be happening on June 28th at 7 a.m. God damn it, these 7 a.m. presentations. And that it is also there that Sakurai will reveal Kazuya's release date, which I'm guessing will probably be that day.
Yeah, I'm going to say, if they're doing this presentation at that early in the morning, it is absolutely coming out that night, or...
Yeah, that's what I think.
Can we get a boss battle thing again?
That would be cool.
Maybe
that week at the very least.
I think he said he wanted to keep that specific to Sephiroth, though, because Sephiroth is like a final boss. Like he kind of stands apart as whereas Kazuya is like the face of the series, but like part of the time he's like a villain, and part of the time he's not. So,
well, I mean, because it's I have not played a lot of Tekken, but it's Heihachi is the father of Kazuya, and Kazuya is the father of Jin, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a whole lot of volcano dumping that goes on between at least Heihachi and Kazuya.
And it turns out a whole lot of people can use devil mode. I didn't know that.
And then what isn't Heihachi's father in Tekken 7? And he has like
Jinpachi.
Jinpachi, and he has like a demon mode of his own that's...
Oh my god, how are these old dudes still alive?
I know, right? Also, in addition to the fact that we know when it's going to happen, Nintendo of America on their Twitter did specify that this presentation is going to be roughly 40 minutes long, which tracks, and will not include any reveals for Challenger Pack 11. So, yeah, we're going to be waiting a few more months to find out who the final fighter is.
I will predict right now that one of the Mii costumes, since we already got Heihachi back, is going to be Jin.
Lloyd? Oh, Jin. Oh, maybe. I was going to say Lloyd, since we don't have
that
fighter.
Lloyd probably will be one. Yeah.
Lloyd will be at this point too.
I just
Can we get like a Mizback man or something?
Oh, Klonoa hat would be awesome.
Yeah.
Klonoa hat.
Klonoa should be the full conversion Mii outfit. We haven't gotten one of those in a while.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
That would be cool.
What would you make him? Gunner? Brawler?
I think Brawler for Klonoa.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's hard because he has the wind bullet, though, which is kind of a shot attack, so I guess you could make an argument for it being Gunner, but at the same time, I think you could equally make a Gunner and Brawler argument for Klonoa. It's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Because he also does have that physical element of, like, inflating enemies and jumping off of them, right? So
just give us both.
Yeah, just give us both, right? But yeah, I said this on Twitter yesterday, but I've been reflecting on this announcement. And while in the moment, I'm sure you could see in my reaction, in our video, that I was kind of muted at the moment. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, I guess. The more I reflect on it, the more hype I am about this. Tekken obviously deserves the honors. It is the marquee 3D fighting game series. Kazuya may not be my personal favorite Tekken character, but he is one of the faces of the series. And I think it's cool that now you have Ryu and Ken and Terry representing, the best of 2D fighting games. And now you've got Kazuya representing 3D fighting games in the fighting game.
I almost feel sad that Akira is only in a assist trophy now from
Virtua
Fighter.
Oh, yeah, that's a bummer.
I did, however, love... I saw a tweet from someone that said, I can't believe Nintendo made this relevant again, and it was a screenshot of Street Fighter Cross Tekken with Ryu and Mega Man versus Kazuya and Pac-Man. I was like,
damn. I saw the Doofenshmirtz meme where it's like, if I had a nickel for every time Ryu, Ken, Mega Man, and Kazuya have appeared in the same game together, I'd only have 2 nickels, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is weird that it happens so many times.
Right? Yeah. Jet Set in the live audience patron chat saying Ash throwing shade at Mortal Kombat. No, not at all. I just don't even consider Mortal Kombat part of the Smash conversation because of, what Mortal Kombat is.
Not Ken Pac-Man, sorry.
I mean, and Mortal Kombat
you would lose the lifeblood of that if you added it to Smash, right?
Well, and MK11 itself was banned in Japan due to the excessive gore and such. So it's just that's just not something we're going to see in Smash. But I mean, look, Mortal Kombat obviously is iconic. I think Street Fighter is the definitive 2D fighting game series. I think there's no argument there. But Mortal Kombat certainly has its own entry in the history of 2D fighting. No doubt.
If I had gotten a choice for 3D fighters, I would have went with Bandai's other series, Soul Calibur, because I prefer that personally. But
Soul Calibur,
it is what it is.
Go with, who would you go with from that? Like, I'm guessing Nightmare. Give us a villain.
Nightmare would probably make sense. My favorite character in Soul Calibur is Keelik, so bias would just say Keelik. He's got a bow staff. That's all I want.
I love Keelik, and I love bow staff users. Yeah,
yeah.
I would. I mean, she's not the face of the series at all, but my favorite character to play in Soul Calibur is Talim, and so I would have been happy to see Talim.
Talim's great,
from Soul Calibur, but she's not. She's not important, like Sophitia or Nightmare or Siegfried or whatever are.
I just want Cervantes because he's ridiculous. I want someone who looks reasonably like Elvis Presley with nunchucks.
Maxie's my other main, so I'd be down with that.
There you go. I got that weird drumming on you with the nunchucks move that I've never quite understood. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that doesn't seem like it'd hurt.
I don't think we'd get Ivy or Voldo.
No, this game's for good boys. Girls.
Oh man, imagine Voldo and Smash. Oh
I remember in Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast, they had, for no apparent reason, a tool where you could swap out the characters in the intro with anyone you want. And so I just made it all Voldo, and it was the most unsettling thing to watch because all the scenes where you had a beautiful woman like Ivy or something, it was just Voldo touching himself. It was terrible.
I gotta say, it kind of would be really funny if the last character was Ryu Hayabusa, just because that would technically get us a dead or alive character represented in this.
Oh, that's true. I feel like I can't see them ending in Hayabusa, though. I would have loved to have him in, especially the 8-bit version, but I just don't see it happening.
Known industry insider John Cartwright is with me on that it's a Breath of the Wild 2 character. I feel like that's going to be that. It is simultaneously the best and the worst thing that they could do.
Yeah.
I would be all for that, personally. There's not enough Zelda rep in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, but what if it's Link again? What if it's just Link with shaggy hair and a weird arm?
Here's the thing, depending on what they do with that, our new Ganondorf, that could be Ganondorf, and just manipulate
Dry Bones Ganon.
Yeah.
Dry Bones Ganon, Dry Ganon.
I mean, I've been saying that I feel like either Urbosa or Mipha would be awesome. I'd love to have one of them in Smash, but I think, getting a Breath of the Wild 1 character at this point probably doesn't make any more sense. Although I still think that they both would fit really well. But yeah, it could be a Breath of the Wild 2 trailer or character. That could be how they wrap everything up. I mean, fuck, it could be Waluigi. I hope.
I could see them getting away with doing a multi-character, kind of like Pokemon Trainer, that's all 4 champions, with an alt costume for the New Age champions.
Right.
So you'd run into an issue with Sidon since he's so much taller than Mipha. But...
yeah.
Well, this is all speculation anyway, because it's obviously going to be Sora still. Sora's going to be the big final character.
There's also the chance that Sakurai just uses this as his, fuck you, I'm out move. And he's like, I just put a regular old car into Smash. It's a Datsun from Forza.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we got the
Smash.
That'd just be like the Daytona USA and Fighters Mega Mix.
That's true. The Fighters Mega Mix, character having that's funny.
That'd be so good.
I would love it if Sakurai ended by putting himself in Smash. He's like, my up air kills everyone on the screen, no matter where they are. Every move I does that.
Yeah.
Smash is no
Potato
longer
Samurai.
The one argument I have against it being something from Breath of the Wild 2 is that Nintendo has been, unless Nintendo starts opening up way more, they don't even want to give the title away.
True.
It might be too early for them to reveal that sort of thing.
That's actually true.
I think that's the big thing
really
against
work at all.
Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, I could say Metroid because of Dread, but I don't think they're going to unless we get Emmy, I don't think we're going to get any other characters from that.
Right. Yeah,
Emmy would be a wild character.
If it truly is the final character, I mean, and we know from Fighters Pass Volume 1, that may not matter. They did end Fighters Pass Volume 1 with Byleth after 4 really hyped third-party characters. So it doesn't mean that it has to be some specific kind of character just because it's the last one. But if it really is the last one for Smash Ultimate, period, forever in general, you'd think it would have to have something to set it apart, some sort of distinction.
I feel like it'll be another Nintendo character because again, we're reading into patterns in Smash, which is never a good idea. But we did go Nintendo third party, Nintendo third party, Nintendo third party, Nintendo third party. So we got 3 and 3 potentially.
I hope that no matter who it is, that it's somebody Sakurai immensely wanted to put in the game. Only because it could be his last act as the creator of Smash Brothers. He might not do the next one.
Maybe Nintendo will give him a free space and just all right, we picked these 5, you choose the last one.
That's my hope, is that whoever the final character
that would be nice
for Smash is somebody he got to decide on.
I love that. I hope so too. I love that idea. Becca's live in our live audience chat says, I was just disappointed because it wasn't more female representation. I'm excited for people who really like him. And that's a completely fair take. There certainly has not been enough female representation, or especially person of color representation in the Smash roster. And so I completely agree with you. I think where Tekken, you get in trouble with Tekken is the fact that most of the faces of that series are men, if not all of them, really. There are characters like Xiaoyu, but Nina and Anna, but they're not really the faces of Tekken. So I think
Nina got a spin-off.
She did get her own spin-off.
Great game, but she did get a spin-off.
But I hear you, and at least we did just get Pyra and Mithra, so at least there was that, and Min earlier in the pass.
True.
What were you saying, Steve?
No, I was gonna say, you know how I know I'm tired? I saw Brandon's wife walk into the frame, and I instinctively looked behind me. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? I'm like,
why is my wife here?
That's not even my house.
I hear that.
My dinner showed up unexpectedly. Sorry.
No worries. All right. Well, before we move on, we do have a $10 donation from Goron Amber saying, I'm hoping that the next trailer starts where Kazuya is ended. He turns around after dropping Kirby into the lava, and Doom Guy's there waiting for him.
Oh, man.
Possibly cool. Doom Guy or Master Chief finishing the fight. People love to say Master Chief finishes the fight as the final, character splash card reveal, which does make a certain degree of sense. So we'll see what happens, but I know we're all looking forward to finding out. How this all
Master Chief
culminates.
Sparta kicking Kazuya off the cliff.
Oh God,
would fit so well.
That's funny.
Not that that's going to happen. I firmly believe it won't. But
no, my last guess on this is a Smash series rep, because there's no Smash original fighter
like Master Hand or something, or
Taboo.
Or Taboo.
They closed out with an original fighter for Smash. That would be fucking hype. I would love it. After all these characters, Smash gets its own OC. I'd be like, all right, well played.
Right, people would
deserves
riot. But I agree.
Be a little disappointed, I'll be honest, but
it's deserved. But yeah, well, it's weird. We've never really had a Smash character reveal in this context before, knowing that it is not only the last character, is apparently, but also, as you said, Steve, the last Smash game Sakurai might ever work on. There's a lot of lasts with this upcoming character, and we've never really been in that position before, so we'll see what happens.
Hell yeah.
But let's go ahead and find the way forward to our next news story.
Well done.
Thank you. So, something that, of course, a lot of people are really hyped about from the Nintendo Direct is Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp. And it has since been revealed that Nintendo's development partner on the game is WayForward. And it's actually kind of funny how that shook out, because I remember specifically mentioning during our reaction how the character portraits, the way they move, reminded me of Shantae 4 and 5. And I'm like, oh. So it's kind of cool how that worked out.
Yeah. I'm happy for them.
Remember back then when they had that Treehouse presentation for a new WayForward game and it ended up being Bakugan?
Oh,
yes, I do.
People threw him a bone. It's like, oh, we're so sorry about this. Here you go. Yeah. Have Advance Wars.
I wonder how that conversation went.
This probably does help make up for that, I think. People, Advance Wars isn't really my jam, but I know how much people truly love it. And Advance Wars fans haven't had anything. They haven't had any bones thrown to them for years and years and years. And finally, this is happening. So I would say that makes up for Bakugan.
not to throw any shade on WayForward. I'm happy they're doing this. They make nothing but good games, in my opinion, except for Bakugan. But I'm honestly a little bit surprised that Chucklefish didn't get the nod for this one. Just because Wargroove was so similar to Advance Wars. And I almost thought that was their kind of way of making an overture to Nintendo, being like, look, we can recreate your franchises.
Right. I think maybe it could be that WayForward just has a bit more
certainly. Budget. I was going to say, I will concede that Chucklefish is a much smaller, much more indie-feeling developer. WayForward is definitely significantly more established in the game.
I believe this is also being like put out there for $60. So
yeah, I was going to say this has. I imagine that this is a higher budget title than most of WayForward's other games. Not to cast again dispersions on WayForward, but they got to be getting some Nintendo money for this.
Yeah, this feels like on the same level as when they did the remake of Boy and His Blob, because that got a physical release and was
about that.
A bit more done with. So
yeah,
I think there's
super excited for the folks there, and I'm jealous that Ash no longer works there, because I'd be like, yo,
I know,
take your phone out, show me what they got.
And yeah, give me all the reels. Well, if I did work there, I wouldn't be on TNT ever at all, because the drive one way was an hour, so it was like a 2-hour commute every day going there and back. And I didn't get back until like 8 p.m. every day from work. So as much as I loved WayForward and it was great being there, I would not be able to be here doing Good Vibes Gaming and TNT with you guys if that were the case. So
their loss is our gain.
Exactly. Related to Advance Wars 1+2, Wario64 reminds us via the Amazon product page that it is going to have online play for up to 4 players. Though we don't know if that extends to the co-op mode that they talked about. We're not really sure if it's just head-to-head. Yeah, I know. That would be really nice.
My friend Nick, who I talk about frequently because we game every Thursday night, this would 100% be his jam. And I would love to actually play it online with him when it comes out.
Yeah. For me, this unfortunately just, I love FF Tactics. I love Front Mission 3. Like, I love very specific tactics games, but Advance Wars, I played the first little bit and never really grabbed me. So this isn't really my jam, but I know that so many people, like your friend Nick, is going to be... You what?
I'm excited to get back to this one because I have the first... I only picked up a few Advance Wars games, so I never got too far in any of them. I got the first Advance Wars, I got DS, and then I got Days of Ruin. And when I played it, it feels like a turn-based, almost RTS. Just reminded me a little bit of Command & Conquer at the time. But I liked what they were doing there. It had a unique style that I enjoyed. So this feels like an opportunity for me to finally get back there and see kind of what I missed out on. And
nice.
The stories are kept simple. You're not going to get Fire Emblem story type things. It's like darn you, like you're the rival people, and it's like from what I experienced, not a lot of stakes in this one, but it's fun.
Well, speaking of Advance Wars, we do have a $4.99 super chat from Dark B Andy asking, what unique mechanics and innovation does Advance Wars have over Fire Emblem? And I'm afraid to say I'm not sure if any of us on this panel today are qualified to answer that as such.
The biggest thing is it's all about your COs because your units are all you can build more as in certain maps, and each one has like 10 power. And each unit is good against another unit, so you have rock, paper, scissors mechanics, that type of thing as well. But as those units get attacked, they lose units. So you might lose, take 6 damage and you lose 6 of your soldiers. So they're only doing 4 units worth of damage. So you got to sort of manage how much you're getting hit and whatnot. So you have supply drops, you have that. There's a bit more to manage with Fire Emblem than with Fire Emblem, but you also don't have to worry about permanently losing a unit. Plus, each CO has their own unique ability that changes the flow of battle in some way. So
no joke, Dark B Andy, if you want like a taster of what that's like, try out Wargroove by Chucklefish. It is exactly the same from a mechanics perspective.
There you go. And I think it's on Game Pass, right? If you have an Xbox,
it's on Game Pass. It's on Switch. It's pretty cheap now. I think it's like $10 or something. Nice. But yeah, it's on Game Pass. It's on PC. It's literally everywhere. But it's definitely kind of like Advance Wars Lite or something to that effect. Everything Derek described is in that game. Although I kind of prefer the setting of Advance Wars. or Famicom Wars as it's called elsewhere.
Right.
You know, I hate to bring this back to Smash Brothers, but I've been thinking about this a lot since this conversation started. And if we wanted one last Nintendo rep, I feel like there's a big hole in Advance Wars for as long as its history is.
We did have an assist trophy. It didn't come back, but
yeah, there is.
That's why I was thinking about that.
No, I'm putting my foot down. You cannot tell me that an Advance Wars character gets in before a Rhythm Heaven character. It can't. Come on, man.
I don't know, man.
Don't do this to me.
They're not re-releasing Rhythm Heaven, so
I know. Hey, next year. 2022 will be the year of Rhythm Heaven on Switch. Probably not, but damn it, I would be so salty.
You know what though? We got WarioWare, so anything's possible.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that because obviously between the two, WarioWare and Rhythm Heaven, WarioWare is the higher priority. But now that WarioWare is a thing, maybe Rhythm Heaven can happen.
I think that Nintendo is embracing this kind of TikTok strategy where on the big years they release their main IPs, you know, Mario, Zelda, Splatoon now I guess is a main IP, Mario Kart, things like that. And then on those off years, they run smaller projects like WarioWare. And I hate to call Metroid Dread a smaller project, but it's very clear that it's a game that's easier to put together than, say, Prime 4, right? Right. It requires fewer development resources, though I will call it right now that I will probably enjoy Dread far more than Prime 4, just because I traditionally enjoy 2D Metroids more. But I think that they're running these smaller projects, and I bet that at some point, if Rhythm Heaven ever comes to Switch, I think it'll come in 2023. I think 2022 is going to be another like AAA year for Nintendo.
They have need to fill in a slot during like the Clubhouse Games type thing, where it's like, put it out in June or May.
Yeah, in a slow period.
Thought about it. I never really thought about it like this, but it actually, you know what? Rhythm Heaven is too hype for the Switch. You need the Switch Pro to be out first. That's a good point.
Wow.
Rhythm Heaven is too hype for the regular ass Switch, man. We need the Switch Pro before we.
That's the launch title.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've chatted about this long enough, so let's go ahead and move on to our next news story, which has me going bananas in a good way. Let's get that up on screen.
My God.
All right, so hey, you appreciated it, Derek. One of my favorite games announced during the Direct. It was leaked technically, but announced during the Direct was Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Fuck yeah, I am so excited for this game, and it only gets better. So not only are we getting HD remasters of the first two Super Monkey Ball games with Banana Mania, but website files found in the game's character art files hidden within the game's website. Has unveiled key art for Sonic and Tails, which makes it seem very likely that Sonic and Tails are going to be playable in Monkey Ball Banana Mania.
I was praying for this because they put Sonic in Banana Blitz, and I was like, I don't want to play that one, though.
And very important, and I know especially for you, Steve, this is classic Sonic. This is Fat Sonic, man. This is classic Sonic and classic Tails in Monkey Balls. And the only thing that could have made the Monkey Ball Banana Mania announcement better is this right here, the fact that Sonic and Tails are likely going to be playable in it. I can't wait for this game, you guys.
You know what else is in here? It's not in the news story, but I saw separately. II's classic design is also in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's awesome. I think, for the Digital Deluxe Edition.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah.
Nice.
So very, very cool. And on top of that, what's also neat from a gameplay perspective is that there are also later in the series they introduced jumping, which a lot of purists thought kind of ruined the core gameplay. And it has been revealed that jumping is going to be optional. So there will be an option to jump, and that does make the game a lot easier, which is a great accessibility feature, I think. But it will be optional, and it will be off by default. So jumping will be in the game to make things easier, but it is not required, and you can play any way you want. And that's just one more thing that makes me so happy about this game and the fact that it exists.
Hell yeah, man. I am so hyped for this.
It's really cool that it's coming out. God, it sucks that it's coming out right next to Metroid Dread.
I know.
You know what, though? I feel like this is kind of tonally a perfect pairing of games. Like a heavy, serious game.
It's just a matter of
matter of playing both.
Yeah. I mean, at least tonally, you have Metroid Dread, which is going to be obviously very intense and dark, and Super Monkey Ball, which is just colorful and happy and whimsical and monkeys and balls. Come on, I mean.
Although I would actually call Monkey Ball more challenging than Metroid, so there you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
God,
that's
that game
true.
could get
That's
rough.
totally fair.
Metroid games traditionally are not actually super difficult games. It really just challenges you to figure the game out. But Monkey Ball is just straight up like old school arcade hard. Which
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever made it through even the medium challenges in Monkey Ball. Maybe I did a little bit, but definitely not hard mode. Like,
it took me so long in 2001 to figure out that you were moving the floor and not the monkey. Like I was just like, this is so bizarre. But yeah, I love these games. This is what we all hoped for when they did that Monkey Ball remake. What was it, 2-3 years ago now?
Yes, I think 2. Banana Blitz HD.
Yeah. Banana Blitz. I did not love that game. I feel bad too because Sega went all out and they sent me like a crate full of foam bananas to give to people. I was like, all right.
Oh, jeez.
But the game was in the bottom
because it looked and sounded great. It was pleasant to experience from an audiovisual standpoint, but the level design just wasn't up to snuff compared to the originals.
Yep.
Thankfully, it performed well enough for this game to happen.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
I always need more Monkey Ball in my life. I had kind of been thinking for a while that the series just wasn't being given its fair due, in recent years. And it seems like it's finally making a resurgence. The fact that Sega's even celebrating its 20th anniversary is really cool. The fact they have even a logo for that. I just didn't know they cared about Monkey Ball that much.
By the way, our good friend Rebecca Stone is in the patron chat.
Hey,
with folks. Hey, Rebecca. Glad to see you.
We got Rebecca and Lady Pelvic with us. This is great.
Yeah, what an episode. Now we just need Jesus to drop in and go, Metroid!
Yeah, exactly. Also, wow, you guys, $50 donation from our good friend Rob Arman X saying, I love how anytime Sega brings back a classic IP with brand new visuals and music, they add Mania to the title. I never thought about it that way, but you're Banana Mania. You're totally right. That is really cool.
Hey, man, if they keep
so much
pushing out incredible remakes and calling them Mania or incredible new entries to old franchises, throw Mania on whatever. Shinobi Mania, Alex Kidd Mania. I don't give a fuck. I'll play them all.
Yeah,
Daytona USA Mania. In the
Daytona.
chat.
Oh my god! If you do a Daytona
that.
USA Mania, you need that guy back to do the song.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna go all the way.
Let's get Streets of Rage Mania. We've got Streets of Rage 4. We know what the future looks like for Streets of Rage. Let's get Streets of Rage Mania. Modern pixel art. Remastered the first 3 games. That would be sick.
Oh man, I would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, seriously, right? But thank you again, Rob Armanex, for the incredible donation. That's very generous of you. Yes. All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next news story.
There's also one more from Shiny Greninja for $5. Says, I'll probably pass this part of the stream, but I want Dante for Smash just so I can say Super Smash Brothers featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series.
Oh, right. Got that sticker. Yeah.
Fair.
That would totally be his tagline. Dante features in the game? I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah. Or Dante hits the jackpot.
Oh man, the trailer for Dante should just be like the box of the game, and then someone slapping that sticker on the front.
The whole thing, yeah. Or instead of adding Dante to the mural art, you just add the sticker in like the
there
top
you go.
right. Yeah,
that's awesome.
They don't add Dante; they just add the Dante sticker.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm thinking this next news story might just take our breath away. So let's go ahead and get that up on screen.
Ooh, Ash firing on all cylinders tonight.
I'm trying, man. Yeah, I'm trying. So, in case you were wondering, don't know why you would, but just in case you were concerned that Breath of the Wild 2 does not have an official name or subtitle, it does. But Nintendo isn't ready to reveal it yet because they're afraid that it could hint at what will happen in the game. And that has caused a lot of people, at least from what I've seen, to speculate that the name might as well be Zelda's playable in Breath of the Wild 2, or something that just basically hints at the fact that she would be playable.
I've seen no evidence of that whatsoever. Obviously,
right,
I have the analysis, the deep dive coming in, but it's like, I'm sorry, guys. I'll say this right now. There is no evidence in there. Even like people talking about Link's long hair. That's not really new. He has long hair. It's just it doesn't have his braid.
Yeah,
his hair tie. So I'm not saying where that's relevant. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there's no evidence in the trailer. But I also don't know. There's a lot of possibilities for where they could go with this, just from what I've seen. It's been a while since I've seen a trailer so dense with possibilities. I'll put it that way.
Right.
This game is wild.
Yeah.
It is indeed, and I love that they've shown us more. Like everybody wanted, they've shown us more, but what they've shown us still isn't enough for us to really figure out too much what's going on here.
I also think that folks should remember that Nintendo is historically extremely evasive with the titles of these games until close to release. For those of you that were at E3 2016, the lanyards for E3 were for Breath of the Wild, but they didn't put the subtitle on it, even though they obviously knew they were going to reveal it at the show. Right. So I have
they knew at a certain point that they was like, we should probably not
and
call it anything because that'll be news.
The funniest part is Breath of the Wild gives nothing away about the story of the game. Like you learn
not the story, but it definitely hints at the gameplay of it being much more wide open.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think that in a pre-2017 world, we all would have been trying to guess what the hell that meant. I think we all would have been sitting around this virtual table speculating, being like, "Does someone breathe on you? Like, what does it mean? Is that the Rory's wind? Like, what is?"
It would definitely take a while. It definitely took them a while to reveal Skyward Sword's title as well. Like, it's always like maybe 6 months before it actually comes out.
Ocarina of Time was Zelda 64 for years before we got that name. So it's just Nintendo does this. This is what they do with Zelda, and I'm fine with it. I mean, honestly, I'm fine calling it Breath of the Wild 2. I'll probably still call it Breath of the Wild 2 after it comes out for a while.
Depends on that name.
The
name's good. Breath of the Wilder.
I think this game's going to have such a strong, unique identity from the first one, based on what Bill Trinan said in a recent IGN interview, that once the name comes out and we start seeing more of the plot, that we're going to forget Breath of the Wild 2 real quick.
Yeah. The thing for me is that I'm already ready to go on media blackout for this game. I don't need to know more about it. Like, just...
I want to buy it.
Yeah, just, you know what? I'll log you into my bank account, Nintendo. Just take however much you feel you deserve and send me a copy of the game.
I just need confirmation that dungeons are back. And then I'll go my media blackout.
God,
man. Dungeons being back would be huge.
I really hope that's what the case. I really want more traditional dungeons. I've said this many times, but Divine Beasts, I get what they were going for, but it just didn't work for me in the end. I didn't hate them, but I wouldn't want to see them return. And I really want to see bespoke themed dungeons. I think the problem with the Divine Beast was that at the end of the day, interior wise, they all kind of ended up blending together. I couldn't tell you just from memory what differentiated any of them other than their bosses.
They were all based on a singular mechanic that you could utilize using the Sheikah Slate. And then outside of that, like you said, they all looked exactly the same.
Right. I mean, to be fair, thematically it made sense. I mean, the same people built all these things, but the more I think about it from a mechanical perspective, the sequel to Breath of the Wild, as Bill Trinan likes to call it, it has to have something akin to dungeons, because there's no way we're doing the Divine Beasts again. That would be lame. So you have to have something to replace those. And I have seen people speculating that part of the trailer appears to show like one of the dungeons from the original Zelda. I've seen speculation about like everything that time is a circle, and Breath of the Wild 2 or the sequel to Breath of the Wild returns you to the beginning of the Zelda timeline somehow. Which I gotta admit, that would be a huge mindfuck. But
that would be really cool.
I think that's too much of a mind screwed for Nintendo.
We've already got Skyward Sword.
I'm gonna leave my speculation to a limitation, just because obviously I'm working on that. I will say I just need a little bit more time. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it out tomorrow.
See,
cool.
I'm excited to hear what you got to say.
I am too. I wonder how much we'll agree on things. If
we're Zelda fans, we won't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Everybody has their own theory, and everybody really sticks with those theories. And that's the thing. I'm not going to discount any theory. I'm just going based on what the evidence that I found and what I feel like the series has in store for us. But there's so many possibilities. There's
the problem for me is like I'm one of those people that they could theorize about the Zelda timeline till the end of time, literally. Like I love the Zelda timeline. I love theorizing about the stories, the characters, the different timelines. Clearly, Nintendo aren't interested in doing that much anymore, and that's completely fine. I get that, but I fell into the trap of hyping myself up over Breath of the Wild story before it came out, thinking, whoa, the different timelines, this is the first time we've had a mystery with Link and who Link is. Could this be, defeated Ocarina of Time Link in the hero's downfall timeline, and he's, been healed 100 years later, and it's directly... That wasn't the case, obviously. None of that happened. So I'm not going to let myself believe that there's some sort of time as a circle and we're going to be dumped into the beginning of the original Legend of Zelda. I think that would be awesome.
Feels like there's more plot this time, at least more setup.
Yeah.
So
right.
Yeah. So I will clarify. I don't think, or the theory that I read doesn't say we're going to get dumped into the first Zelda. They think we're going to get dumped into Skyward Sword because chronologically that's the first game.
Right.
Right.
Now, interesting.
I will say that I've started to kind of come around on the Ganon dead body theory, and that I wonder if that's not Ganon and could possibly be Demise.
Yeah, that would be...
I would love to see Demise come back.
You're speaking my language right now, Steve.
Honestly,
hype thrusters are going right now.
I love that idea so much.
So I don't know if that... I will... I'm not calling that guy Demise. I don't think that the corpse is Demise. I think Demise plays a part, but that is not Demise.
Yeah, I could see the corpse not necessarily being Demise, but I feel like that because like with the castle raising into the sky and then kind of the malice-like energy present around that corpse. I don't know. And the hand holding it down. I feel like there's Demise. Yeah, I should say Demise has a role to play. I hope so.
And before the name is...
There might be a big reason that's like, hey, maybe we should remake Skyward Sword.
Exactly. That's the other thing. When I start thinking about it in those terms, I'm like, Skyward Sword coming out suddenly makes a lot of sense if Demise is involved.
There is also that canon manga we have for the Link before Skyward Sword. That's the true beginning of the history. Mm. And to be fair, we don't know a whole lot about that. Link was in prison, and they never told us why.
Do you want to know why?
There's some stuff going on.
I love Juan's idea in the live audience chat here. The Legend of Zelda. Zelda's playable. Shut the fuck up. Goodbye. I love that name. But yeah, I mean, it could be Demise of the Wild. Who knows? But Nintendo could also just troll all of us and do what they often do and call it New Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Legend of Zelda New Breath of the Wild. I
quit.
Yeah, I quit, right? I quit.
I will say I have one wild idea that I discount to a degree, but I mean, if it happened, I'd be like, that's a cool twist on a classic trope of Zelda. But I can't say it yet.
I can't say it yet.
I'm all waiting here. I'm like,
I can't spoil it before the video, but I'm not. You got to watch the video for that. If I get it done, I'll definitely talk about it in the next TNT. But
it'll clearly be called The Legend of Zelda Morning Breath of the Wild, and Link's just on a quest to find a toothbrush.
I jokingly threw out Exhalation of the Wild on Twitter yesterday just because I was just like, breath, exhale, whatever. All I know is I just hope this is more story-driven than Breath of the Wild 1. Breath of the Wild 1, great game, but I thought the story was easily the weak point.
I think it'll have more setup. I don't know if it'll have more story.
Yeah, that's that. I feel like they're going to go to great lengths to explain why Link is not at full power. Because I definitely, after watching that trailer, I'm like, okay, they're definitely doing the trope of like, fully equipped hero gets wrecked, loses everything, has to go on a quest to regain lost power, and then challenge bad guy.
Well, I can say this right now. He doesn't have the Sheikah
Slate, of the first game.
Boom, there's half his power's gone.
Yeah, I agree. I noticed that he seems to cast runes with that arm now.
With his arm, yeah,
which
instead of using the slate.
Is so cool. I'm not going to lie. Like, fuck the Sheikah Slate. His arm is dope. I like it a lot. But
I like magic, and this is more magical than the kind of like technological stuff with the Sheikah Slate, so that appeals to me a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm so hyped. I just feel like I did like, because again there's some link between between the original concepts for Zelda, because originally Zelda was supposed to be a sci-fi story, like a technologically based story, and I liked that they kind of brought that back for Breath of the Wild after decades and decades. But honestly, I love everything I've seen so far. I'm my hype level for Breath of the Wild 2, whatever it's going to be called, is like a 12 out of 10 at this point. So,
oh, absolutely. I think all of us agree on that.
They could literally introduce the most out of left field stuff. They'd be like, Link finds a Yoshi for some reason, and he gets to ride that around. It ain't the Master Cycle, so he's a Yoshi Cycle now.
Yeah, Legend of Zelda Yoshi Safari. That's why they haven't
there you go.
revealed
Link
yet.
finds the Super Scope. It turns out he's just a normal guy with a weird fascination with Nintendo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, I know we're all just hyped over the moon for this game. Obviously we're all massive Zelda fans, and I'm looking forward to your analysis or your deep dive.
Hell yeah, man.
Super excited about that.
I will.
But obviously take your time.
I'll be waiting in the back end for that thing to upload.
Yes, same. Yeah, no, we'll see what happens. I'm glad we got some more information on it, but I think we're gonna have to wait until way later in the year for anything else.
Oh God.
Or maybe even depending on when in 2022 this game does drop, we might even have to wait until early next year for more. So we'll see. But we do have a couple more super chats before we move on to the next story. First, Alan Wilkinson with £2 saying Breath of the Wild 2 name theory, Legend of Zelda Long Way Down. I like that. I like that a lot with of course, the focus on the sky. So we'll see. But thank you for the donation, Alan. And finally, Claxon with another $4.99 donation saying, I'm guessing Legend of Zelda Ganon's Demise. What title do each of you seriously think it will be? And my prediction has a double meaning. Yeah, I love that. Ganon's Demise, that's spicy. I like it.
Yeah, I think it's too early to hazard a guess at the title, honessly.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is. I mean, I would laugh if it actually did just end up being Breath of the Wild 2. It won't be, but it could actually, it could have like a subtitle for the Japanese version of the game that's that, because we know that A Link Between Worlds was actually just called Triforce of the Gods 2 in Japan. So maybe they'll explore that with the Japanese title, but I think here in the West it'll be a completely original title. But it's a bit early to speculate really on what that could be. So I guess I'll throw out Demise of the Wild because I really like that Demise theory. Even if it doesn't hold water, ultimately, I just love the idea of bringing everything full circle with Demise, given how Skyward Sword is at the beginning of the timeline, and then Breath of the Wild is at the end of all the timelines, essentially.
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Crime. That's mine.
Perfect. I'm going with that. That is my favorite so far.
That's the GTA style spinoff.
Yeah. All right. Well,
real quick, Trace Hall with a $2 donation saying, Legend of Zelda, Link looks for a hair tie.
Nice. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the donations. You are all wonderful and so generous. Thank you, Trace. And we do have one more story to discuss, though. So let's go ahead and get that up on screen. And this is just really cool. When I came across this, I'm like, this is awesome. So essentially, Microsoft is going to be bringing next-gen Xbox games, so like Xbox Series X and S games, to the Xbox One via xCloud. So you're going to be able to, eventually at least, be able to stream Xbox Series X exclusive games like Starfield, for example, or Microsoft Flight Simulator to your Xbox One using xCloud, allowing Xbox One owners to experience some of those next-gen exclusive games. And I just think this is the coolest thing. And Steve, I bet you have something to say about this, don't you?
Oh, hell yeah, man. xCloud One is... I talked a lot earlier in the episode about game streaming and how it doesn't work well. I want to be clear that is specifically in relation to the Switch, unfortunately.
Right.
And that honestly could have very little to do with the Switch itself and more with just how the developers are implementing these cloud games. But I use xCloud, a couple times a week. So what I'll usually do is if I'm downstairs, away from my Series X, I don't want to be in my room all day.
Right.
But I want to play an Xbox title. I'll just grab my phone and pair up my controller and play, down on the couch on my phone or something like that. But what I think this does, and I say this all the time as well, is giving more people a way to play a game is always a good thing. Telling people, hey, look, we know that one, these consoles are hard to find, and two, that they even if you could get one, maybe you just don't want to spend $400 more. Yeah. So you can take the existing Xbox you have, whether that's a One, a One S, or even a One X, and stream current gen games with it. I mean, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's objectively a good thing. Making people, and if you have Game Pass, right, which includes xCloud, then you don't even have to buy the damn games. They're just in your subscription and you can play them. That is awesome, man. I mean, I have to imagine that Game Pass and xCloud and all that are working out insanely well for Microsoft, because they are literally at this point taking away reasons to make you buy their new Xbox. They're just like, yep, you don't need this, you don't
unless
need
you
this.
just don't have good internet. So
yeah, if you have bad internet, then you could still buy an Xbox.
If you want the cutting edge audio-visual experience, of course, you're not going to get it by streaming Xbox Series X or Xbox One. So I guess that's kind of the appeal for the enthusiasts who want that high-end visual experience. You're going to want a Series X for your 4K TV. But for everyone else who doesn't care about that,
closer and closer to the point where it's like the difference between buying an album and streaming it on Spotify. It's like, it's not going to sound as good on Spotify, but probably good enough. Like, $15 versus $400 and then a $70 purchase. Like, I don't know, man. I like games, but I like money too.
I mean, look, if I hadn't already been convinced to get a Series X by Forza 5's reveal, I would be, even more excited about this. But I am going to get one. I have to play that at the highest end experience possible.
Oh yeah, and I think it differs greatly. Like folks like you, me, Derek, Brandon, we're going to buy the consoles if we want them, right? Well, the minute a game appeals to you enough to jump into the ecosystem, folks like us, gaming enthusiasts, like you mentioned, we're going to buy the console because we want no input lag, best possible visuals, this is kind of the stuff we live for. But for your Madden annual purchaser who otherwise that console gathers dust, those folks will probably see, oh, hey, I can keep this 1S, but I can play Madden 22 on this thing, with all the better graphics without having to buy a new box. Sign me up.
Exactly.
True.
So I think you have the potential for a huge audience. And once they start putting xCloud on TVs like they have already announced they're going to, who's going to buy? I think Xbox hardware sales will dip significantly. But I think that xCloud subscriptions will go through the goddamn roof. And
oh yeah.
I mean, they
get it as ubiquitous as like Netflix was back in the day before all the streaming wars. I think that's key.
Microsoft is doing it the right way too. They're like, oh, hey, Bethesda, you make good games. We'll buy you and add you to our service. I mean, they don't even license this shit. They just buy the people that make it. So I think that it'll be interesting, though. I feel like this is a much longer game than any of us anticipate. I think Microsoft is going to get their ass handed to them this generation. I think the Xbox is going to be relegated to being an also-ran from a hardware perspective. But I think they're going to keep building up that subscriber base. And I would not be surprised if we only have maybe 2 generations at most left of Xbox hardware before they transition to a service company. And they say, hey, look, okay, no more. We're not making any more Xboxes for you guys, but we're going to keep iterating on our back-end, server hardware. And you can fire up your PlayStation and sign into Xbox Live and play the games over the cloud that way if you don't want to buy them at $70 a pop or something.
Right.
I don't know that it'd be the end of their hardware, because they'll probably start releasing like xCloud streaming sticks. That's their hardware going forward.
There you go.
Well, yeah. I should clarify. I just mean that they're out of the traditional console game. But I think they would release something that plugs in, lets you stream. Obviously, they'll still make controllers that you can purchase. But I think as far as these $400 and $500 boxes, it seems increasingly like Microsoft is trying to find their way out of that business.
It does. I know they made some statement recently suggesting that they are still fully committed to generational hardware development, that they're already hard at work on the next Xbox console. But of course they're going to say that anyway.
That's just corporate puffery, as they like to call it in court. Because I mean, we all got to remember, Nintendo said, oh, we're not making a new DS with cameras. What the fuck are you talking about? And then literally 24 hours later, they're like, check this out. This is also Nintendo famously was like, mobile games. Who's going to do that? Well,
exactly.
Nintendo apparently. So.
Right. No, so I completely agree with you. I think Microsoft is looking to get out of the hardware-focused game. I have felt that way for a while, just given their incredibly divergent approach to this generation from Sony, right? It's been a completely divergent approach. And with Xbox focusing primarily on the service model. So I do see them continuing to go that way. And yeah, I'm in full agreement with you, Steve. But either way, this is great news for Xbox One owners, I think.
Yep, agreed.
Well, that does bring us to the end of the show. We do have one more super chat, though, from 112 with a $2 donation asking for our thoughts on Rockman XZ Time Rift. And
I've not heard of it.
Yeah, so there's a reason for that. And I don't really have too many thoughts on it because it is another mobile game focused primarily on the Chinese market. There are no plans. In fact, this game has apparently has been a thing that has existed as a concept for like a year, but no news came out about it, and it's still in development. And there are no plans for a console or PC release, let alone availability outside of China. So it's just such a drop in the bucket where Mega Man news is concerned. But to give you all a little bit of background, the developer is a mobile company named Nebula Joy. It's apparently going to be a 2D action RPG with a predominant focus on a single-player console-like experience. They also just made the recently released Devil May Cry Pillar of Combat. So I think they are currently working on an English version of Pillar of Combat, as well as making this Rockman XZ Time Rift thing. It is going to incorporate optional online PvP modes, and there's going to be a small selection of playable characters in the game. Obviously, the name is pretty interesting, just given what this could mean. Rockman XZ Time Rift it obviously suggests that there will be some sort of timey-wimey stuff bringing together characters from the X and Zero series, which is exciting. If you know your Mega Man lore like I do, on its nose, that sounds pretty exciting. But because this is a mobile game, it's focused only on the Chinese market. Even the beta that's going to be happening later this year, I guess, or next year, is China only. So it's just hard to really care about it, much like Rockman X Dive. In theory, I care about it, but until it comes to a platform I can play it on, in a territory I can play it in, it's hard to care very much. So those are my thoughts. You guys have anything else to add to that?
Not really.
I mean, it's a mobile game focused only in China. I've said this before, like about the Pikmin beta.
Yeah.
I'm not Taiwanese. I can't access it, so therefore I don't.
Exactly. I do love the logo. I like that we see the Rockman X design of the logo in the Zero style, that it kind of meshes the two together. And yeah, I'm interested in of course I'm interested as a Mega Man fan, but because I'm not going to be able to play this, I can wait to find out what it is. And more than anything, I still just want the next console release. Where's X9? Come on, Battle Network Collection, X9. But anyway, that does bring us to the end of today's show. And Brandon, voice of God Miracle, thank you as always for joining us again and again and hanging out with us. I'm shocked we haven't driven you crazy yet, but because you have been with us today, I do want to give you a chance to plug yourself on the internet. Where can our amazing audience find you, man?
You can find me on YouTube at Breakroom Arcade. You can find me on Twitter at Merrowleaf_, as well as Twitch at Merrowleaf. And as I usually say, occasionally right here on GVG.
A little bit more often recently.
Yeah, more than occasionally. Yeah. You've already done so much incredible work for us already, man. And we just, you are an eternal best friend of GVG, and we love having you on whenever, man. So thank you for joining us again.
Of course.
And but as always, we are at the end of the show, but we do have to give a very special thank you to all of our patrons at the producer level and above, because without you, this show would not be happening. We wouldn't be bringing you the show 3 times a week and hanging out with you guys and having a great time with all of you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all of our producers for helping to make this show happen. But as always, we do, of course, have an extra special thank you in store for all of our patrons at the executive producer tier and above. And those awesome, wonderful, fine folks include Jared Ettinger, Brandon Bovia, Rob Arman X, Etiono Ben, Dan and Twistle, Dennis J, Z Patty, Hyrule Hermit, Sky Blue Flames, Adam O'Sullivan, It's ATM, Octopuppet, Richard Herrera, Michael Phone, Aiko Carroll, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Kitty Kong Fax, Angel Martinez, Vedran Hotik, 112, John, Joshua Hunter, Evernight Studio, Benny Yao, Emerald, Azran127, Kinrule09, Pagrima, Jake Pelka, Geller, Shiny Turkey, Joseph Rutkin, Titus Malvolio, Charlie Bird, Geeky Griffin, Lucky Wonderfish, Top Dog 23100, Young Ben Kenobi, Doug Showmix, Andrew Medeiros, Orem M, Sakuragi, Becca, Rocks the Cat, Fizzywig Hoyd, Critmonger, The Legend of Groose, Eddie B, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, West Egg, Deaneth, Kota, Michael McCaw, Matthew Wong, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Hoobie, Wolf X Blake, Moon Macarons, Ascaron 809, Kane, Captain Finlandia, 60 Minutes and 60 Seconds, Christopher Masterson, Spicy Pandotter, The Game Orb, Dano the Artist, Ravelox, Synchrolord, Brainchild, Rosa Pardo Bowling,
Hi, Mom.
Kotar Peck, Scuff 196, Skull Kid Tiger, AJB Cool, Blizzica, Jason Uloa, Jaden Buck, Phantom Project, Darik, Jeff Ed, Ray Clausen Jr., Nathan the Voice Actor, Mega Conrad, Hulkamaniac 55, and finally our newest executive producer, Chibi J. Thank you all so much for your incredible support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you are interested in supporting us on Patreon, you can find us on patreon.com/gbgaming, where you can check out all of our various tiers, ranging from $1 all the way up to $400 if you want to sponsor TNT. But if you just want to be in our Discord server, that's just $1 a month. If you want to join our live audience tier, where you interact with us and our special guests during TNT 3 times a week, that's just $5 a month. So check us out over there. But even if you can't support us on Patreon and you can just support us here, that's fine. If you like and subscribe, it would mean the world to us. Every little bit truly does help. And also, we do have Today's News Tonight available in an audio-only podcast format on all of your favorite podcast services throughout the world. So if you like consuming content that way, we are available for free on every major podcast service. But with that said, we will see you all for episode 99 this coming Friday. So Thank you so much again, everybody. And until then, good night and good vibes.
Later.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.